Hello and welcome to my podcast on how I failed at business. So today I'm going to dive into how I failed at building my second business. My first business I did completely intuitively and it went great. I had no roadmap that I followed, no framework basically. I was just following my excitement and it went great. And I was able to sell it successfully to my co-founder. It's still running, it's still in the business, and it's an amazing product. So my first business was a product-based business, and that's important. And I will come back to this point later. My second business was what I called a spiritual business, which I founded in late 2022 and was trying to build up 2023 until it crashed. And so today I'm going to talk about the 10 lessons that I learned from failing, from having my business crash. Because even though my first business was successful and I did a lot of right things intuitively, I didn't do them consciously. And I learned a lot of things, but I learned a million things more when I failed. So failure, and that I kept going after failure, provided me with incredibly deep insights into what needs to be in place to build a successful business in a sustainable way that nourishes you, that brings you joy, and that heals you in the process. So let's dive right in. So number one, and I have my notes here, which is why I'm looking down. So number one, the first mistake I made was to create in isolation. Yes, I had spent tens of thousands of dollars on business coaching, but I didn't have a network and I wasn't ready to reach out to people for reasons I'm going to explain later. So instead of leveraging all the contacts that I have, instead of leveraging the people who are surrounding me and who want to support me, I thought I have to prove it to myself and I have to make it work by myself in isolation. And that took a lot of energy and it was a very painful process. I felt, of course, isolated. I felt like the whole weight was on my shoulders alone. And I also didn't create in co-creation with the universe. So what does that mean? It means when I founded this business, it wasn't the right timing for me. So instead of waiting for the right timing and basically riding a wave, I was trying to create the wave. I was hustling hard and it took me a lot of energy. I didn't really trust in my core that what I wanted so deeply was actually there for me and available. So I was forcing, I was pushing. I wanted to make it happen and I wanted to prove to myself that I'm worthy of having what I desire and I can make it work. So this is the first mistake. Creating in isolation takes a lot of energy, it has very little effect, and it's just no fun. And especially if you're a woman, I strongly advise working with other people, getting yourself support, exchanging and being seen, being validated. Being in a network that wants you to succeed, that wants you to be powerful, and that sees and reminds you of your power in the moments that you forget. Second mistake, I was not ready for real connection. So business at its core is relationship, and relationship at its core is connection. But my nervous system, I'm going to get to that later, my nervous system was still unsettled. It was not calm. It was not ready to reach out and be in connection with others and feel safe. I mean, you can see, like, if you put out offers to other people, but you actually don't want to be in connection with them, of course, you're going to sabotage yourself. So again, a lot of wasted energy, and I was basically fighting against my own self. One part of me wanted this business, but mainly to prove something to myself, and the other part didn't want to be in connection with anyone. So it was a push-pull, and it was a very tiring state to be in. Third mistake, if you will. I wanted to create authentically. I wanted to express my truth, but I was not ready to show up authentically. And this created pain and dissonance in my own being. Again, I wasn't ready because my nervous system hadn't healed to the extent that I was ready to show up, to be visible, to be seen, to speak my truth, to be successful, to call in the money. So this created pain and dissonance in my own being. I was still looking for validation through my giving, through my offerings. And if you do something to get something, it's never authentic. It's already being manipulated by your own belief system, by your own lack of self-worth, by your own lack of trust in that what you desire really is for you. So, not being ready to show up authentically while wanting to create authentic content created a conflict within myself. Again, wasted energy. Number 4, my cup was not yet overflowing. The truth was that there was a tiny, small voice that kept telling me, hey, hang on, like you're not ready yet. Just give yourself another year, which was unthinkable. Just give yourself another year of self-care, of self-nourishment. Just go and play and enjoy. And instead of investing like tens and $20,000s in business coaching, just, have a low-key life and invest them in good food, in massages, in just being with yourself, spending time in nature, making connections that nourish you. I was not ready to extend what I wanted to extend to others, which was when I work with my clients, it's a very personal journey. It's a very deep journey, and I offer a lot of compassion, a strong container of being held. But because I hadn't built that container for myself, I was not able to extend this to my clients yet. And so part of me knew I wasn't ready to give what I actually wanted to give because I hadn't nourished myself yet. And at the same time, I was still pushing out my offers. So again, that created a lot of disconnect within myself, a lot of wasted energy, and a lot of frustration as to why it's not working. Why, if I'm putting in so much energy, investing so much money, why the heck is my business not working? And of course, I made it mean everything about myself, that I don't have what it takes, that I'm not good enough, I'm not unique enough, I don't have enough genius inside myself to actually serve and be of service in the way that I wanted to serve. And so yeah, that was pretty destructive for my own self, which led me to a total crash in the end. Number 5, which ties into number 4, I hadn't mastered my product yet. So I told you in the beginning that my first business was a product-based business. So by training, I'm a physician, and my friend and I, we had worked on building a learning platform for medical students. So the product was this learning platform that educated thousands and thousands of medical students in Germany, which was great. It was the best product on the market, even though we had competitors who had investors. We were always bootstrapping, but because we put in so much work, so much love, and so much care for detail, we made it the best product we could think of. It was our product that prevailed. All the others failed. And so this is how I want to do business. Excellence is one of my core values. And the thing was, in the second business, I didn't have a product anymore. I was my product. And I wasn't ready yet. My product, myself, had not been refined enough so that I would be able to give of myself in the way that I wanted to give. So in other words, I hadn't gained enough self-mastery to teach others about self-mastery. Number 6, I was doing business from an unstable core. I hadn't stabilized within myself the knowing that I am worthy, this is for me, I am enough, I have enough genius, intellect, drive, all of this, everything that it needs to build this business. So because my core was unstable, because it wasn't fully formed within myself, I was always oriented outward. I was always looking towards vanity metrics. I was looking towards how are my clients perceiving me? How is my work being perceived? Is my work resonating with others? Do others understand what I'm doing? And I was losing a lot of energy and focus by focusing on them instead of building and giving what I love to build and what I love to give. And in turn, everything that happened on the outside and me not getting the validation that I was so desperately looking for from the outside, because I had an unstable core, I made it mean everything about myself, that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't have what it takes. So the point is that if you create from an unstable core, you will look outside for validation instead of creating for the joy of creating for the joy of expressing yourself, creating for the pure pleasure of expressing your truth freely. And that's a very different state to create from than when you are focused and anxious about the results. Because that's a lot of loss of energy, being focused on others, being focused on the outside. Whereas having the energy freed up to simply create and to simply be yourself without second guessing and self-doubting yourself at your core. Number 7, my nervous system hadn't healed to the extent that it needed to heal in order to call in and to hold what I was desiring, which is deep transformation for my clients, to hold a container for them to find their own truth, their own path, their own success, their own definition of success, their own connection with their guidance and with their soul. And also my nervous system wasn't ready to call in all the good things. My nervous system was not ready to call in the money, to call in the success. It was not ready for me to show up and be seen fully, be seen in my power, be seen in my light, be seen in my beauty. And to show up powerfully and authentically as myself. I remember like the first Instagram post that I posted because I had been isolating myself before, basically retreating for a couple of years and doing my inner healing work. Instagram somehow had passed me by and I had never been on Instagram. So I only got on Instagram for business purposes. And I remember the first time I posted, I was like my boots were shaking. There was so much fear in my system that I had to metabolize before I could actually create from a relaxed state, before I could actually not make the results mean anything about myself. So I needed a full, actually 1.5 years of nourishment and of self-care so that I would get the rest that I need, so that I can then go out and create and call in and hold all the success, all the money, all the being seen, all the validation that is meant for me and that is meant for you equally. And it's also reorientation for the nervous system from a state of hustling and trying to make it work to a state of open, relaxed receiverness, where I know all I need to do is show up and do my part and have the most possible joy in it. But I don't have to make it work. I don't have to create the results. All these things are being done for me. So that was kind of like shifting the Titanic for my nervous system. And that just simply takes time, because what you're actually doing is you're resetting your nervous system on a cellular level. You're recomposing the neurotransmitters that work in your system and that determine how you feel, how you perceive your reality, and how you create and how you respond to reality. So since there's an actual chemical change needed in your body, this just takes time. And I was rushing it and pushing it and did not give my body enough time, my nervous system enough time to reset and recalibrate to a new way of being and doing and having, and a new way of building my business and showing up in my business.